All right, guys. Our kickoff question today is, what was the first Disney movie you saw in theaters?
Ooh.
So, Matt, I'm going to have you go first. Do you know?
I do, actually. It's the first movie I saw in theaters in my life, ever. It was a re-release of Pinocchio back in, I don't know what year that would have been. Okay, well, let me see if I can do math. I think Pinocchio came out in 41, so it was probably 91, because I assume it was probably like some kind of anniversary re-release. And I had heard about these things called movie theaters for my entire short life at the time, and I was just terrified of them. The whole concept of like going to a place where there were these colors and shapes that you had no control over. Like on TV, you can opt to turn it off, but being in like a dark room where you had no power over what was there, that was a little off-putting to me, as much as I loved movies. And so I'd also been to theater shows and stage shows like in Disney World, and I think even some actual theater shows. So I was like not unfamiliar with the concept of being in a stage with people performing for me. And so on the way to Pinocchio at Square One Shopping Center in Mississauga, Ontario, I was like still teetering my head, like, is it a movie? Is it a stage show? And then the thing that really threw me off was the like actual theaters that they had in this specific Cineplex. They had theater style curtains in front of the screen, so like I was super confused because I walked in and there was like this giant red curtain, and I was just like, "Are you sure this isn't a play?" And then my parents said no, and then the curtain like rose and exposed the screen, and I wish they still did that. So yeah, it was Pinocchio, and it was only mildly scarring.
Yeah, that's kind of scary depending on how young you are.
Yeah, the donkeys part. Ooh.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out everyone saying hello in the chat. My mother-in-law, Victoria, Salt Life, Magic in Michigan, Alice. Phil is here. I don't know how to make him admin though, so if anyone knows how to do that, tell me, because
I can Google it real quick. That's funny.
Okay, so
hello in the chat.
Where's Marty Murphy? It's my mom.
So, Mary, I'll answer while you're looking, Mary, for that information. But we're just starting with a fun kickoff question, which is, what was the first Disney movie you saw in theaters? So comment in the chat and tell us what was the first movie you guys saw. But my first movie was Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, I think that's a good one to kick off. But I think the funny kind of part about that experience is we went to like a dollar store after. My mom said I could pick up any toy as a treat after the movie, and they had dolls and all sorts of stuff, and I decided to pick out a feather duster. So
nice.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm pretty sure mine was Little Mermaid. I just remember that it was either me or my sister. My sister was really young at that point, but one of us got really, really upset when Ursula started getting like huge and scary, and we were like telling my dad, we can go ahead and leave now. And he was like, it's gonna be okay. Like, we didn't know how Disney movies ended. We were like 4 or something. So yeah, I just remember wishing we could leave. Well, I'm sure my dad told me this story because I wouldn't remember a 4-year-old experience, but yeah, he was like, you guys were ready to leave and I made you stay.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. All right, well, I'm trying to follow some Magic in Michigan says it's in the studio, so I'm going to try to figure out how to do that while we dive into some introductions. So thank you for coming, everyone. I'm seeing in the chat also, What Life Salt Life doesn't remember what their first movie was, and neither does Phil. Phil thinks Lion King. But yeah, I am Pauline, the mermaid in Mouse and Mermaid, and myself and my husband have this channel together. We do Disney trip vlogs, I do pin vlogs, and then I also vlog our weekly life. So yeah, fun stuff. And Mary is our co-host today. So if you want to introduce Mary.
Hello, I am Mary and my channel is Jolly Holiday with Mary, appropriate. I do Disney hauls, pin collecting, Disney buying too much stuff every week, and weekly vlogs of me and my husband and our 2 Boston Terriers.
Awesome. And Matt.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees. My channel is called Teacup for One, and it's really just an assortment of me talking about all the things that I love that aren't really connected in any way. It's mostly Disney and Shakespeare and Funkos. And sometimes if I get really exciting stuff, I'll dive into the realm of doing an unboxing video, but I'm still figuring out how to do those successfully. And yeah, so just it's a very strange assortment. It's usually just based around like pretentious filmy things, but in an accessible way.
Totally. They're very interesting. I like them a lot.
I like you a lot.
Well, I just want to highlight some of these movies are coming in. So Magic in Michigan definitely saw Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Also, Walt Life, Salt Life. They remember seeing Chicken Little, which that's a terrible movie to start out with, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't think I've even seen that one.
That was when I stopped watching Disney movies because it wasn't because I got too old, but that was around this like stage when they stopped being good. And so I just said to myself, you know what? Like, I know I'm like dedicated to you, Disney, but I'm like a teenager and I'm not going to go see this movie if it doesn't look like it's a well-made movie. And that's when we kind of had our breakup.
That's so funny.
When you got back together.
It was kind of a slow process. I think it was around when they started going back to fairy tales, and like Princess and the Frog I bought on DVD, Tangled I saw in theaters, and then it just kind of slowly started to come back. And mostly Pixar is what kept me attached.
Oh, that's good. Perfect chatting point for today. Phil says he is the mermaid. So, I just slip up once and I said that I was the mouse, and everyone likes to remind me of that. Yes, Walt Life, Salt Life says Matt is one of the funniest humans. Accurate.
One of the funniest humans.
Magic in Michigan. They see your plushies in the background, Mary. All right, and Punzi's Place says hers was Lilo and Stitch.
Oh wow, you're so young.
That was what I thought when I saw Chicken Little was a potential first movie in theaters.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about Toy Story, guys. Are you so excited?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
Mrs. Nesbitt.
I love it.
That is a great one.
That is one Funko I kind of want now. I
don't
have
anything
Funkos.
as awesome, but this is my
Funkos.
Oh man. I like the pictures you started doing though on Instagram. That does make me want Funkos.
Yes, it should. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mary, are you in a new spot this week? People are wondering.
Yeah, I moved. I was here the first week, and then I moved over to there thinking it would be better. But you can like see stuff if I'm closer to the shelves. But I'm literally sitting in the middle of my room, so it's not like super convenient, but it looks better, I think. Anything for the show.
Phil, you are not an admin. I don't know how to do that.
I texted Nick because he knows how to do that, but he probably has his phone on Do Not Disturb.
So I want to just show my notebook. Matt, do you have a fun notebook?
I mean, like, I have a notebook, but I made my notes on my phone, but I thought I'd show you a notebook anyway.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh.
I bought this on my last trip, and then I scrapbooked my whole trip. So it's actually, I know.
Oh my gosh. You just need to do a video of your scrapbook.
I really should. I know. I'll write that on my list.
That makes me
I
so
don't care about my
happy.
trip anymore because it was in February. It's over. It's done.
Oh my goodness.
But I care.
That made my day. I'm a scrapbook fanatic.
But my notes are actually all on my phone, which is in this Lion King VHS case.
That's amazing. Wow.
All right. I think I am figuring out how to, Oh, moderators. Oh, let's see if I can do this. I think think we're figuring this out. Yeah. I don't think it's going to work. Okay. Let's move on. So, Matt, start me off. What were your first impressions of Toy Story?
Like when I was 8 and it came out, or when I rewatched it?
When you rewatched it.
Oh, okay, when I rewatched it. It's a movie that I've rewatched more than I probably naturally would over the past few years, because I rewatched it in advance of a Disney trip last year for Toy Story Land, and then when Toy Story 4 came out, I had to marathon it again. Then I rewatched it again just the other day in preparation for this. So I've seen it a lot as an adult, more than I normally would, and I think it's such a different experience seeing it as an adult than as a kid, which is fascinating, because like when I was a kid, weirdly enough, it had less emotional resonance, I think, than it does now. Just like as a kid, it was just this fun, like, this is me now kind of moment. Like it was just bringing life to my imagination, and like even though I like fully knew that the toys weren't coming to life, it was just like bringing the life that I imagined they have and putting it on screen, which was so much fun. But then just watching it as an adult, it's just this kind of weirdly nostalgic feeling where it's like, now I remember what it was like as a kid. And then I also think watching it as an adult, you view the relationships between the toys a lot differently, because I think as a kid you're just seeing them as characters, but then the older you get, I think the more you start to see yourself in those characters. And like, I don't know if anyone else saw this, but I remember there was a fan theory, not theory, but like an interpretation floating around a couple of years ago that Toy Story is basically The Walking Dead. Like there were some parallels about how, like in season 1, how I can't remember the main guy's name or the other one, but like how there was the cowboy and the cop who were like fighting for the affection of the kid. And I'm like, that's totally what Toy Story is. And so rewatching it, like, yeah, it's basically like the dad and the stepdad fighting for the affection of the kid in the middle. And I think that's just such a weirdly beautiful thing. And yeah, so there's that. Like, I think it's a really simple story, and just purely in terms of plot and story, like, it's nothing special. I think everything that's special about this movie is not in spite of the story, but like builds on the simplicity of the story. Like purely in terms of plot, it's really formulaic, and it's just like, it's the most classic thing ever. Just like two people who don't get along have to overcome some kind of obstacle, then in the process they become friends, and then it has a happy ending. Like it's really pretty predictable, I think. And I think it's like, it's really similar to Snow White in some ways, because like the focus of the whole production was so much bigger than the story itself. It was like, can we actually make a film with this technology? And so the storytelling had to be as simplistic as possible so that they could tackle all the other hurdles that they would have to overcome to like not make it super complicated. And I think the thing that came out of that, though, is that the world building and the concept creation of this world is really, really good. Even if like the actual plot events, like they're not bad, they're just not as engaging as the subsequent films are. Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of that, Phil says Toy Story 4 is trash, which, yes. I mean, we're not talking about Toy Story 4, but yes. So tell me, Mary, what are your general thoughts, first impressions?
Rewatching it, Nick and I rewatched it last night, and he said that it was basically the perfect like screenplay. Just the ups and downs and the way that it flows and the simplicity of the story is just maybe like one of the best, just because it's so good. And I totally agree that they had to keep it simple because of the insane stuff that they were doing with the animation and the graphics and all of that crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It just sets up such great characters that you want to keep watching more of it. Like, and it has such a huge supporting cast, but each and every character is somebody that you like for one reason or another. Like they're all charismatic and interesting or funny or kind of jerky. And like, I don't know, it's just a perfect combination of things. it's so freaking good. But
that Walt Life Salt Life agrees with you that they
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so my thing about all Toy Story is here's another movie about how toys get lost. Which, I mean, that's the simplicity of the plot. But I think for me, kind of some overviews I took away, what I think was the genius behind doing a movie about toys. I kind of looked up what other movies had been done about toys, and they're all linked to specific brands. So I feel like this is one of the very first that is standalone, and I think what makes the movie so great is that there's a fusion of like this world that's unknown. You kind of both talked about that, it is so close to home at the same time, and there's also that huge nostalgia factor. And I think the fact that it's not about one specific brand, they kind of like throw in all these toys that are meaningful as these kind of like walk by characters, and then those secondary characters have these backstories that have the little laughs and chuckles. So I don't know. I think that the story doesn't have to be so great because it's all those other things that make the movie great. And I mean, just you're able to keep pumping out the sequels after that. Hi, It's Always Sunny. They just popped in here.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
So I was talking to this about Phil. He said Toy Soldiers came out, but is that a brand, Toy Soldiers? I'm not sure.
It was after the movie.
That seems like a 50s kind of toy.
Yeah.
Like the little guys.
So I'm going to have Mary, you kick off. We kind of already talked about the story a little bit, but do you have anything else to add about the story?
So one thing that I used to work in a Montessori school with like 3 and under kids, and so many of them were obsessed with Toy Story, and it like made me think, because I'm weird. I was like, man, that is such a great movie to like start kids on a conversation about like feelings and how you can communicate better and like what jealousy looks like and stuff like that. So the story just like lends itself to a lot of real world things. Like kids might have a new kid at school or something, like then you can talk about how that makes you feel, and you could even use like the movie in that sense. I don't know. I think it's really a smart movie and applicable to real life. So and then it's the story like itself, I think, is nice that it uses all the things that Buzz and Woody kind of learned throughout the journey in the end. So like Buzz falling with style comes in handy at the end when he's blowing up a rocket, and Woody learned how to make fire when Sid was doing that magnifying glass thing on his head. So there's all these little payoffs at the end that just made the story like really engaging and really good.
I just want to also mention Day Tripping Disney just popped in here too. So Matt, anything else for you to add about the story?
Yeah, like I think a lot of the depth comes out of the simplicity of it. Like I think the simplicity again is a necessity, and the movie is greater than the sum of its parts just in terms of the story. But I don't know, it's kind of like Shakespeare in that way, where just between the given circumstances and the characters and the relationships, like that's where you start to invest yourself, and then the story is kind of just like a serving platter for all of those things. I think this just purely in terms of plot, like if it were to be a book that I would read, I would be less interested in Toy Story 1 than say like Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3. But again, I think the big benefit just from a writing perspective is how cleverly and brilliantly they created like the world of toys. Like the things that really stand out to me are just all the like little one-liners of these things that are just normal for them existing in their reality, when like how they have meetings, and when Woody is saying, I think our meeting on plastic corrosion awareness was a great success. Thank you, Mr. Spell. And just how like little squeaky aliens worship the claw, and just like basically from a writing standpoint, reducing your mentality to like what would the interpretation of the human world be like to these little toys? And I think that's like the genius of the screenplay and the story from start to finish.
Yes, definitely.
Always comparing. Yes.
Yeah, and then I was also watching some interviews because I know I'd seen clips of like when Woody was evil, which was a direction that the film was originally pushed in. And it just, and it's fascinating to me that like that first off that was ever an option, but then that they had to like come back from that and then I think make the choice to make the story a lot simpler than they were being pushed to make it initially.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Because I've heard that they did that with Elsa too. She was supposed to be evil. I don't think they came back from that one as well.
I think that movie would have been better if Elsa was evil, but that's
they need something,
conversation.
Right.
Because the Snow Queen is like one of the best fairy tales if we're talking original source material, and I think Frozen is like the one case where it's not that it's not as good. Well, it is that's not as good as the original, but I think in all the others, like Disney enhanced the source material, but Frozen just did not. But we're talking about Toy Story. It's an original, so they could do whatever they wanted.
Right.
Yeah, we have some haters about our Elsa comment. So.
People are not going to like me after this live.
Some people, this is my mother-in-law. She loves the green aliens. They're so.
I love them.
Little green idiots.
They have a name, Phil. One thing I'm kind of like taking a step back to like super big picture, but I wanted to mention. I read earlier in the year Bob Iger's book, Ride of a Lifetime. I think that's what his book is called. And he talks a lot about the Pixar acquisition and just like Toy Story in general. So I just thought that was like it's so important to mention for this film. And I don't know, I think it's like in a way kind of funny. And I think Disney gets maybe knocked for this a lot, that this is like Pixar's, big original idea and not necessarily Disney's. So,
Yeah, no, I think the thing, again, doing some research in advance of this and like learning about all the backstory behind Evil Woody and that film, I think this movie was really important right off the bat of establishing Pixar as its own thing, especially when it comes to story. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know Pixar like has their 5 rules for things that a Pixar movie should never have, like songs, like Happy Village song is one of them. And I think love interest might be one as well. Basically, it's like the Disney formula kind of. And my understanding is that Evil Woody was a result of them incorporating a lot of notes that they were getting from, I think, Jeffrey Katzenberg and other like Disney executives and other producers. And they kept on like giving story notes, and then it pushed them too far in one direction. And then they almost canceled Toy Story altogether because like what they showed them was not a good clip. It was just very negative and a very like Evil Woody is just not pleasant whatsoever. And then in order to save the movie, they said something like, give us 2 weeks and we'll try to fix it. And they basically fixed it by taking back every note that they got from Disney and doing what they wanted to do.
Nice. I have not heard that. That's interesting, though.
It's so interesting you say that, too, because a lot of what's in Bob Iger's book is about what they wanted to acquire was the environment at Pixar. And so, yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the stars. And I just want to chat. If you guys have like feedback on different areas, if you want to give your notes on any of the topics we're talking about, please put it in the comments. So Matt, tell me your thoughts on the stars in the film.
The stars in this film are incredible. I have only shining things to say about all of them because, like I said, this movie, the success of this movie hinges on like reality building and the cast. Like, I think it's one thing that stood out to me rewatching it is how little screen time most of the supporting toys have because they're just so firmly cemented, like as distinct, unique characters. And I remember, like as a kid, I loved all of them uniquely. Like I had to get all the toys, and like their personalities are so perfectly defined in just like the 2 or 3 minutes and like the 1 or 2 lines of dialogue they have in that opening sequence when they all come to life for the first time. And that's 100% because they cast the perfect actors. And I think like the glue is obviously like these two, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and like I found some videos of recording sessions, and yeah, like I suspected, and I was correct, that they did most of the recording sessions together, which doesn't happen very often. And I think they did that for Monsters Inc. as well with Mike and Sully. But just the chemistry between the two of them is incredible. And and I remember also reading that Tom Hanks was initially cast. Well, he was cast because he's Tom Hanks, and we all love him. But when they were still kind of going down less likable Woody direction, I think they said they only wanted Tom Hanks because he has this ability to be likable no matter what. And they cited A League of Their Own as an example, which I haven't seen, but I understand he's not like super pleasant in that movie, but he's still like a lovable character. But yeah, just he has this amazing like warmth and likability to his voice that's just so perfectly Woody. And then you have Tim Allen, which I think was more casting reflective of the time this movie was made. Like Tom Hanks kind of transcends all time periods because he's that good an actor, and I think Tim Allen is as equally strong an actor as Tom Hanks, but he was definitely like more of a thing in the early 90s, and I think he's just so perfectly Buzz Lightyear because he's a combination of being like kind of a hyper masculine voice, but also being a corny dad who doesn't realize how cheesy he is. And then even like looking at the other options they have for the two of them, which I wish I wrote down, but I can't remember. Like I can't picture anyone other than these two being these characters, which is of course like reflective of the fact that the characters were built around their voices as well. But I think it's a perfect match. I love them.
They really are. There's nobody better than Tim Allen and Tom Hanks combo. That's the best.
So Mary, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the stars?
I agree with everything that Matt said. But the supporting cast I think is just so good. Like in comparison to Monsters University last week, where you don't really care at all about the other people. They're just kind of there.
I love I love MU.
I don't like those. Like I just don't care about his frat people.
I like them, but
I know
Toy Story is a totally different level.
It's totally different. Yeah, I just think they did these supporting casts so much better. Like I want to see more of them, and the other guys I just don't really care that much.
So everyone's giving love for Tom Hanks. Except Castaway.
What's wrong with Castaway? Wilson.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
And Tim Allen, So my general thoughts are very much the same. And I think what's interesting too is like all these like I think about Toy Story Land and Disney World, and like Slinky is the main like feature in like the premiere ride in the land. Then he's like a side character in my opinion. I mean, there are other side characters who are have more visibility, if you will. So I just think it speaks to the strength of all of those characters. And just, I think watching the movie, the first minute, just like all the one-liners they're popping out while they're walking around and coming to life, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Even Wallace Shawn. I just need to have a Wallace Shawn appreciation moment. The dinosaur Rex.
Yeah. So he's my favorite.
He is the best.
Our same Toy Story cast is superior. But Wildlife Salt Life loves MU. Yes. If you didn't watch last week, we talked about Monsters University.
That's got to be Andrew typing, right?
So I think this is Punsy's Place just said this. Yes, I think I would agree with what you said.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. That makes sense. I feel like they probably spent most of their cast budget on Tom Hanks and Tim Allen because the rest, I guess some of them are sort of notable, like Rex and I can't remember his name, but Slinky Dog, Ernest. Like those two are kind of recognizable, but I think the others were just primarily voice actors.
Yeah. Magic in Michigan. So they did a video on Clueless, and he's in the movie too. And they just talk about how Andrew at least wants to see more of him in the movie. So.
No, but Wallace Shawn is someone that like you need just a little bit of Wallace Shawn. He's like salt or sugar. You can't overload a movie with Wallace Shawn. Unless it's My Dinner with Andre, where apparently he's like the main attraction and quite good. But in other things, like he's the inconceivable guy. Like that's his thing. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys, for the stars?
I like how who voices Bo Peep? Is it Annie something? I can't remember her name. But whoever it is, I just think it's so sweet that like the character has grown so much from like her tiny, tiny voice role 25 years ago to becoming like the focus of Toy Story 4, even though I prefer to not really talk about that movie, but it's still better than Cars. So like I'll acknowledge it.
It was interesting seeing her again after seeing Toy Story 4 because I felt like I saw all of the feistiness there in the first movie, and I don't think I would have ever noticed that unless the fourth movie existed.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so. And I think she was supposed to be Barbie, but they couldn't get the rights originally, so they had to create their own like female character, which I think completely worked in their favor.
Yeah,
because Barbie like has a persona that's already attached to her, but like I can't see Toy Story 4, the role that Bo Peep had, being inhabited by Barbie.
Yeah.
Annie Potts, okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Cars is trash.
Cars is trash. Cars makes me very angry that it exists, that it's a franchise, that there's 3 of them.
Yes! Thank you.
I thought the third one was the best of them, though. It was at least, I don't know, more like thinker.
I didn't even get there because it's so bad. But
a bad Pixar movie is still better than most movies, but
True.
Cars is really pushing it. And there's no reason that the first Cars movie, those characters can't be humans, in which case it would be a really nice, sweet movie, because the characters are great, but there's no reason for them to be cars whatsoever. And the way that Toy Story builds this beautiful world of like what the reality is like for toys so successfully, Cars is like the perfect antithesis to that. Like there is no logic whatsoever to this world that the cars are inhabiting. And like the whole thing about like, what is gas to them? Is it like water? Is it like blood? And I was really uncomfortable when Lightning McQueen woke up and they were like, oh, you can't go because while you were asleep, we took all your gas out of you. I'm like, that is so wrong on so many levels. You attacked him in his sleep and took out his life fluid. It's like taking blood from someone while they're unconscious and passed it. So many things wrong with Cars.
That's like a Princess Bride.
That's too much.
Well, anyways, back to Toy Story.
Right.
So let's move on to the score. Mary.
Randy Newman again. Good old Randy. They have some of the most iconic songs from this movie. Like You've Got a Friend in Me, I think if you say Pixar, name a song, most people would be like, You've Got a Friend in Me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just really good. I still like Michael Giacchino better, but Randy Newman like kicked off the whole Pixar world with his soundtrack. So, and it's pretty good. And I like that it sticks with each movie. You always get the same feeling from the score. It's good.
How about you?
Yeah, I think the score is incredible. And I really love how they use how it's not a musical, but it's still original music that's complementing the story. Like I think, Tarzan does it. Tarzan does it like somewhat like pretty effectively overall, but I think it's done so perfectly in this movie. Like you get all the benefits that you want from a musical setting where the characters are singing, but without having to establish like a world where characters can break into song. And I don't think that would really work in Toy Story, because like I'm all about like the things that you set up to like get an audience to suspend their disbelief. And for myself, like I'm putting all that energy into believing that toys are alive, that on top of that I wouldn't be able to handle if they were singing. So this is just how my brain works. But I love how how the songs complement the action, but the way that they move into the songs, like the pacing is brilliant. Like it's the mentality of like really well written musical theater when a scene just hits to a point where like whatever happens next needs to be expressed musically. And like You've Got a Friend in Me is obviously like the best song in Toy Story, but I really love Strange Things. Like I think that whole sequence and the music is so perfect, and it's just like the montage that accompanies it is like really effective. And I think it musically captures that moment so well. Like it's weirdly emotional for me, and I don't know why. Like that song, like it's not even a super emotional part of the movie, but I think it's just so well done, and like you fully understand what Woody's going through in that, and I love it. Oh, and then the I Will Go Sailing No More song is okay, but I think it's boring.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think they're good at the montage songs though, because in 2 they do the one with Jesse, and that I just lose it.
Yeah, I can't listen to that song.
But I also I don't even know I think it's like the first just background music that they play. It just it transports me to the parks. It's in the resort TV, like the TV music. And I just love it. So it feels just Disney in general to me.
It really does.
All right. Well, let's move on to the scenery, which is exciting for me. So Matt, why don't you go first?
Like the scenery, it's kind of, I feel, a double-edged sword because it is so old by this point and so comparatively primitive to what we're used to now. I think it's hard to watch it and not be at least a little bit aware of how early the technology is in terms of the animation. It actually didn't it's never really bothered me, but I wasn't as aware of it on this viewing as I have been the past few times. I think the first time I rewatched Toy Story after like 10-ish years, it just really struck me of like, oh wow, like this looks not as good as I remembered it looking. But I think you also get past that because of how endearing the characters are, and like the character animation is incredible. And I think the real strength of the animation, like the overall design, are just all the Easter eggs that they plant throughout that were either like little in jokes at the time or things that they drew inspiration from for later films. And one that stood out to me on this viewing, like specifically, I'm pretty sure when Buzz sees the commercial of the Buzz Lightyear toy, the soda cans are the same grape soda brand as Ellie's like thing with the bottle cap.
Oh, neat.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice
I'll have to look at that.
I'm not positive, but like it's literally only a split second, like when they're like, look, and he can shoot lasers. Then they show like the kid knocking over pop cans or soda cans. Sorry. Canadian. Like there's one that's purple and it's the same color purple, and I think it says grape soda in the same font, and I'm almost positive.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is like my breakdown of they just get lost. So it's mostly just a dirty bedroom. Yes.
Yeah.
Mary, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the scenery?
It is incredible how well they did like Woody and Buzz, and then how awful like his little sister looks. She is like borderline scary.
All the humans are borderline scary. Even like compare Spike the dog to the cat in Toy Story 4. I think that's the perfect indicator of how far the animations come from scary to scary because it looks too real.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to, especially even like Good Dinosaur, which I don't like, but you see like the water and it looks like legitimate water. Like they just filmed water and put it into the thing. And then you see this and it's like, and when the people move, like the muscular stuff doesn't really, it doesn't quite flow. Like I watched a lot of Sid or whoever just like running around, and his movements look kind of like a rag doll. It's just it was like, what the? Yeah, you can tell where they put their effort, but where they put their effort looks really, really good still, which is incredible.
I think too, one thing that stands out for me is just some of the iconic elements that they designed. Like even like the clouds, like we all know what the Toy Story clouds are. The fact that they created that, just is crazy to me. And Matt said this, just the comparison from 1 to 4 is insane. And just, I love seeing people post on Facebook every once in a while, like Woody before and after, and it's night and day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even between 1 and 2.
All right, well, moment of truth, guys. We're going to do our rating. So everyone that is in the chat, we would love for you to participate in the rating too.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys want to comment and tell us what your rating is, there are 5 different categories. So there's Walt-tastic. So these are films Walt would be proud of. There are the Golden Mickeys, the tried and true Disney classics, background music. So this is something you're going to play on a rainy day. One-hit wonders are, you're just going to watch it one time and keep it in the vault. Sounds like a lot of us think that might be Cars, but have lived without seeing it.
Yeah.
So, Matt, let's start with you. What do you think Toy Story is?
See, it's kind of an eternal struggle for me because it's hard for me to separate the importance of Toy Story from like the actual movie, just like as a film. Yeah, I kind of keep bringing it back to like Snow White as the perfect example because I think a lot of that stuff, a lot of stuff about that movie is perfect. But then just like as a movie, if it were to be made today with no expectations, what would I think of it? And so I want to say Walt-tastic, but the bar needs to be like very high for me for a Walt-tastic movie. Like there's probably only 3 to 5 films total that I would classify as Walt-tastic. So I do have to go Golden Mickey.
Okay.
For this.
Awesome. So we do have some people rolling in their thoughts. So Punsy's Palace thinks it's between Walt-tastic and Golden Mickey. So she might be struggling with the same things that you are, Matt.
Oh yeah, if there was something, if I could do like a Golden Mickey 0.5, that's what 3 years instead of just 2.
Day Tripping Disney says Walt-tastic. So Mary, why don't you go and tell us what your thoughts are?
I was in between Walt-tastic and Golden Mickey as well, but Matt just convinced me that it's Golden Mickey because I, like, in my Walt-tastic, I have Mary Poppins, and I'm trying to like compare the two, and I feel like it's just not quite there with the Walt-tastic brand, so I'm gonna go with Golden Mickey.
You guys are like convincing me to change my answer. Because I said Walt-tastic, but I said it with like a little asterisk because I question if Walt will be truly proud of this because it's from Pixar and not like Disney. So I don't know. That makes me like maybe like not 100% want to say Walt-tastic. So
I feel like if Walt was still alive, he could have come up with the whole Pixar idea and made the machine that made this happen. It's very Walt in that he was so innovative.
The technology is technology he would have been very proud of and like very on top of getting first, probably.
Right, he would have wanted his hands on that immediately. So I can see a Walt-tastic version of this. But story-wise, I think.
Yeah, but also story-wise, it only works because they went against like all the Walt Disney established principles. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, we'll never know. So there's another kind of rating that's happening in the chat that Matt started.
Pop versus soda.
So everyone's talking about, is it called pop? Is it called soda? Really thinks it's called pop. You think it's called pop too?
Yeah. Well, in Canada, I know it's called pop, but I realize the majority of our viewers are Americans. I'm trying to speak the language.
Where I live, we call it pop too.
Yeah,
but
I think it's like
basically like right there. And by right there, I mean like if the borders were open, like 30 minutes away from me.
Yeah, we actually like my aunt lives on Lake Ontario, so on a clear day we can see Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So, Victoria says Golden Mickey. Yeah. So she thinks Snow White is a Golden Mickey or a Waltastic. Right. People are still fighting over the soda. So our next category we're going to talk about is the resorts, but Matt called this Imagineering, which is so much better of a title. Like you said in the chat to me, you were like the Imagineering, and I was like,
oh yeah, because one of the podcasts that I love to listen to, and actually I'm going to be on it maybe this week or next week, who knows? And by that I mean I actually don't know when it's going to air, but they have a whole segment that's called Armchair Imagineering, where they armchair Imagineer basically. So yeah, that's why I was like, Imagineering, I'm ready.
Awesome. Well,
I like it.
Matt, since you came up with a new name for it, you can go first.
Oh, delightful. So my first thought was, do we actually need more Toy Story in the parks? Because in some ways, as much as I love Toy Story, I feel like it has a little bit too much love in the parks compared to a lot of other things that I would love to see. For example, get their entire own land in Hollywood studios.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking and I realized, yes, we do. And here's how and why. First off, I'm going to say what we're all thinking. We all want and deserve an actual pizza planet.
Yeah.
Yes, because oh yeah, and I'm sure many of us had the opportunity to go to the one that they did have, which is now Pizza Rizzo. And it was magical as a kid because, oh, look, it's a real life Pizza Planet, and the Pizza Planet truck was out front. That was fun. But from what I remember, the actual experience of dining, it was basically just Pizza Rizzo painted to look like Toy Story. And I remember the biggest disappointment well, it's not really a disappointment, but kind of was. The biggest, disappointment of the Pizza Planet we did have was as soon as you walked in, they had this beautiful, majestic claw machine with the aliens, but it was only aesthetic. You couldn't play it. You couldn't win an alien. They had rows and rows of actual claw games with standard, cheap Bunny and Ducky Toy Story 4 style, generic stuffed animals that weren't even Disney. And that was disappointing. And the pizza I remember being pretty good, but it's Disney World pizza. It is what it is. So I propose to go into Toy Story Land. We get a Pizza Planet that is a combo quick service and table service dining establishment. Now, for the quick service section, that is normally proportioned just like you're a human sized human going to get your pizza. But if you have a reservation for the table service section, you get taken into some back roads, and then you shrink down to the size of a toy, and you dine in Pizza Planet, where everything is oversized, like the Remy restaurant in Disneyland Paris, as a toy. So you're seeing the same restaurant that you walk through, which is the quick service area at the front, but now everything is massive and you are tiny, and all the food is served to you in the style of the Ant-Man restaurant that's going to come to the Avengers campus, where it's all oversized. So if you order a family-sized pizza, it's going to be just in the shape of a giant triangle of pizza that takes up your entire table. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, and the drinks are served. I came up with this just now. The drinks are served in cups that look like those little paper things that you put ketchup into.
Yeah.
But they come to your table and they're at the very least teacup sized, but probably bigger.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's the restaurant. And now for the ride, I came up with one idea, but then I came up with a better version of it, but I like both ideas. So here we go. So the first idea is inspired by what I believe the Cars ride is like at DCA. I didn't really look into it because I despise cars, but my understanding is that it's kind of like go-karts. It's kind of like Mario Karts. It's kind of like a race, but it's also controlled by the track, so you don't actually have power over who's going to win. So it's like that, except they're all ride vehicles from the film. So you could have the RC car, you could have Tour Guide Barbie's car from Toy Story 2, you could have Bo Peep's skunk thing, and then you're just going on a race. So that would be an outdoor ride. But then I thought, what I really want is I want a thrill ride based on, I know it's not Toy Story 1, but based on Toy Story 2 when Tour Guide Barbie takes them through Al's Toy Barn. So the ride vehicle is like a roller coaster, but you're in Barbie's car, basically. And you even have a cast member who's playing Tour Guide Barbie, who's talking to you while you're on the ride. And it's kind of like a Universal Studio style ride where it's a combo of like roller coaster with some screens so that you can see Al's Toy Barn surrounding you. And then there's some animatronics as well of all the toys coming to life. And you're touring all the different aisles of the toys. And then like there's some drops for when you like drop down counters and whatever. And it would be so much fun. And there's a section that's all pink, and that's Barbie.
I like it.
I'm excited for Tour Guide Barbie cast members.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I did.
Yeah. Wildlife Saw Life says there is one in Disneyland too, but it's also lame. Pizza Planet.
Yeah, I think didn't they just put the sign out front and didn't do anything with the inside? I feel like that's what happened with that.
Not great.
I don't know.
So Mary, what do you have to add?
Man, I can't follow that. That was way better. I don't have anything fun like that. I mean, dang. I got nothing. I love the Cars ride version though.
Yeah, I want to ride the skunk.
Yeah. Cars Land is actually really fun, even though Cars is dumb. But they like play 50s music and it feels really like retro-y, and the Cars ride is pretty fun, I think. So.
Oh, I also want a Star Tours style ride, but inside Bo Peep's skunk.
We need Bo Peep's skunk everywhere.
Yes.
I forgot she had a skunk.
Yes.
So, Matt, I had the same thing as you, the Pizza Planet. My thought, though, is it wouldn't go in Toy Story Land. I desperately want them to get rid of Space Ranger Spin and else of it.
How dare you?
I just think Midway Mania is so much better, and I would prefer a game like that there for maybe a different IP. But I think Buzz needs to be in Tomorrowland for sure. And I think Cosmic Rays or Tomorrowland Terrace could be where Pizza Planet goes. And my other just thought is I feel like, and it could go in Pizza Planet. I also thought maybe it could be somehow, I feel like they're not doing anything with the Incredibles area. You know what I'm talking about, in Hollywood Studios. So maybe they could kind of expand the end of the ride for Midway Mania. But I love how at the end of, even though I have my feelings on Figment, I love how at the end of that ride or at the end of Spaceship Earth, they have kind of like activity type things. And I feel like they could bring that in, like different games and stuff that you could play, kind of like what it seems like Pizza Planet has. Yeah. I think of like a Rainforest Cafe or like, I don't know, those other Kahunaville used to have like games you'd play. That was always fun.
Huh.
Yeah. This is.
Yes, it is. I 100% agree.
Disagree.
No, I feel like, well, my preference is always towards something physical in the ride versus just looking at TV screens. So, like, I love that element of Space Ranger Spin, and I also love how the vehicle, you have control over 360 degrees worth of spinning, which is fun. I could also have a different opinion because I always go by myself to the parks. So it's like, which game is more fun when you're just playing against yourself? And it's definitely Space Ranger Spin.
I think I'm just so bad at it. It's upsetting to me. I feel like I have no control. Like, where is the laser pointing? Yeah. I don't even know.
Oh, no, I don't either. I'm terrible at it, too. And if I played against other people, I would probably hate that ride so much because I'm really competitive. And I just never tell people what my score is at the end.
Well, the guns at Disneyland, you can actually like pick up and hold. So then you could really feel where the laser was going.
Ooh.
So if they upgrade, I don't know why Disney World doesn't have that. Like they're just stationary and you have to like hunker down and try and figure out what you're doing. But Disneyland is different. I think they did it better. I think you might like it better, Pauline, if you played it at Disneyland.
I like to have, I'm a control freak, so I got control of the game. Yes, you got to warm up for Midway Mania. So,
man, I haven't done that. I feel like it would give me some sort of like motion sickness, especially with glasses on and 3D glasses. I haven't tried Midway Mania because the line has always been so long.
Oh, I only do it if I get a fast pass, which I usually do. I'm lucky with Midway Mania.
That's one of my favorite rides, so you should probably go on it.
Someday we'll go together and you can take me.
Victoria said, don't forget to like this video. Yes, please.
Oh, thank you.
So let's go around and Matt, you can start. Tell us any fun upcoming content you have on your channel.
Okay. So I'm going to be doing a video soon where I've already recorded it. I just have to edit it. It's the top 5 pop Funko figures that I want to be created that don't exist yet. And then when I was actually like communicating it, I was like, this video is boring. So to make it more fun, I draw concept art for each figure, but give myself like a 30-second time limit. So just to give you a preview, that's one.
Wow.
If anyone wants to guess, any guesses?
Is that Mary Poppins?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Here's another one.
Is that the mirror?
Yes.
Oh, from Snow White. Nice.
Oh, you're really good at this. Okay, this one's really obvious. It's a Pop Towns.
Oh.
Tower of Terror. I don't know if you're going to get the last two, so this is a little bit of a suspense so people actually watch the video because I'm giving away all the good stuff right now.
Okay. Is it from Toy Story?
Is it from Haunted Mansion? The lady?
It is from a Disney movie. Comments, anyone? Okay, so there's that. And
People poster?
And my number one. This is not from a Disney movie, but it's from a movie that has been represented in the Disney parks. Ooh. So, if you want to find out what my top 2 ideal Funko figures are, watch that video. And then I'm also going to be doing the next installment in my Seaverse series, because it's been a while since I've done a Seaverse video.
Oh my god!
And it is going to be Haunted Mansion themed, which I wanted to wait a bit longer, but they just announced the new movie, so I was like, well, I have to. And it's not, the mansion is in the C universe already. It's a very small connection. It's literally just like one thing, but it's one very telling thing that kind of tells us what this entire movie could be about if they are going in the direction of C, and it ties into the last 2 videos I've done too. So it's actually very exciting.
I think how excited I am. I'm like, if you get nothing else out of this video, it is to go watch Matt's channel, Teacup for One, and go see his Seaverse videos.
Yes.
They just make me so excited for the future.
What is the new movie that they announced?
Just a generic Haunted Mansion movie. So they've announced a screenwriter, and I think that's it, and just that it's being made.
Who's the screenwriter?
I can't remember her name. She wrote Spy, I believe, and she's she wrote I think she wrote the all-female Ghostbusters as well. She's done a lot of she's done a lot of stuff with like those actors, like Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, or whatever. So it could be hit and miss. Like it's clearly going to be some kind of comedy, but I'm hoping it's the right kind of like sort of dark comedy as opposed to the more slapsticky Eddie Murphy thing, because I just didn't think that was a good meld. But she seems to be more in that vein. But she also seems to be like a very female-centric screenwriter. And I have a theory, which I'll go into in the video, that the movie's going to be based around Constance, the bride. So
as it should be.
As it should be. She's the best one. Well, I love Madame Leota as well.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, those are my 2 upcoming videos.
That's exciting. Cliffhangers.
Yes.
All right, Mary, how about you?
We're doing a little bit more of the same. I have a Halloween haul that I did. I'm a little late on week vlogs still, but pretty much just that.
And I week vlogs are still coming out, but I have I think 2 exciting videos that Mary's been waiting for me to do forever.
Yes.
So I'm gonna film on Sunday, and they're gonna go out fairly soon. But I have probably the largest Bibbidi box unboxing that you have ever seen. So
Massive.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All
like
right.
the biggest box that they offer, you mean?
The most amount of boxes in one video.
Yes.
Oh wait, did you order every box?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I'm very nervous,
crazy.
also excited. And my husband has asked me probably every day since I've gotten them when I'm gonna open them. So
yeah.
How
We're
can
waiting.
You just have them sitting and not opened yet.
They're like right here. Back up.
Yeah.
Can't see.
So yay. I mean I'm excited for that to happen this weekend. And then they'll probably come out soon after. So keep a lookout for that. Okay. I'm so excited to show you guys the next thing because Mary and I are so excited. We're having so much fun with our series that October is coming up and it is going to be very Halloweeny around here. So, of course,
new logo.
So we had to spookify our logo. Very exciting. So yes, coming up in the coming weeks, we have Cameron from Day Tripping Disney next week. And Matt, you are going to select Cameron's fate.
Yeah, I am. Cameron, are you watching? What do you want?
Then we have Mackenzie the week after. And Britt from Wildlife Saw Life is going to kick off our month of Halloween. And just so everyone knows, the movies that will be selected for that month are strictly Halloween Disney movies. So,
yes.
Can the made-for-TV Tower of Terror please be an option? It's one of my favorite Disney Halloween, if not Disney movies ever, and it's really bad, but it's really
Wait,
great.
is that with the girl Kristen Dunst and her dad?
Yeah.
What?
I used to put them in my Tower
really like that movie too.
It's so good.
Huh. I need to see that now.
Yeah, I think we have a list, but I want to revisit it and make sure we got everything because there's a lot to sift through in terms of Disney movies. So,
yeah.
All right. So here we go.
Okay.
Matt, you get to pick what is next week.
Okay. I want to pick one that I can't tell what it is. But now it's just kind of turning into a game where I'm trying to figure out what they all are.
You probably could if you were just watching him for a while. But.
7 is Little Mermaid. 4 is Big Hero 6. 6 is Hercules. 17 is Lilo and Stitch.
I
don't remember.
17.
Oh, I know what 16 is, I think.
Actually, I'm not positive 6 is Hercules, but Hercules is my all-time favorite Disney movie, so on the chance that it is, I pick 6.
All right, let's see what number 6 is.
You're right!
Woo! I love
Hercules
awesome. Too, so I'm so excited.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Oh, 17 is the Aristocats. I thought it was... Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, it kind of did. I guess I got to blur more. You guys are too good for me. I feel like I need to find a new Big Hero 6 picture because yes.
Oh, I like how you picked the retro 101 Dalmatians poster. I would not have thought that whatsoever.
Tricky.
I'm going to be honest, I Googled and it was whatever came up first was what I picked.
That's funny. Don't blur it more until Mackenzie picks NBC for Brittany because she really wants that one.
Well, you should have had me for NBC. I'm the perfect person to talk about that movie.
Maybe we should just have a group a video for NBC. We can have Matt and Brittany and Juliet and Megan. There's so many people who want to talk about NBC.
Because I am indifferent to it. And I know that's like a strong stance to have with that movie because of how much people love it.
Yeah,
or
you
not
and
that
I
I'm
are on the
indifferent.
same
I don't
page.
dislike it. I just
Yeah.
don't understand the appeal beyond like it looking really cool. And so I would legit like not even to troll people, which I would have fun doing that like in a not webcast setting, but I want to know. I'm fascinated to know what the appeal is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just recently started rewatching it to try and like understand, but I just don't. I like it a little bit more now having watched it a couple times, but like
I like the music. It's catchy.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a bop.
I
And the
think I like
aesthetic is
the
nice.
merch and the music, and then I watch the movie and I get a little bit bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something.
All right. Well, next week, Hercules.
Yes.
So excited.
The best Disney movie. I love it. I love it so much.
Yes. I need you to make a video now about if Hercules can be done as live action and preferably on Broadway.
Well, they did do it not on Broadway. They did it in New York.
Did they?
Yeah, in Central Park. It was like the tail end of their Shakespeare in the Park season. It was done by the Public Theater for like 4 nights, and it was a full out like Disney like produced adaptation that looked amazing. They had like a 200-person cast. Like they had the regular cast of like probably 15 to 20 people, but then they fleshed it out with like a gospel choir, and they had a high school marching band, and like all the clips I've seen, it looks like it was amazing. Not even like notwithstanding the fact that they were doing basically like a Greek play in an outdoor amphitheater, which the nerdy theater part of me just like went crazy for that.
Appropriate.
They did all of that. Did they record it? Is it recorded somewhere? They did all that work and didn't record it.
Or there might be an archival, but it's like I don't think it was recorded in any professional capacity that like could be released the way they did with Hamilton. I think it's probably just like a static shot of the stage.
I would take that.
Oh, I would too. No, and I think they're in like negotiations, or they were before theater was like put on pause indefinitely. They were in negotiations to like release the rights and keep working on the script and the material so that it could be licensed by regional theater companies, so that like people could start doing productions.
Oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how many theater shows will be released on Disney Plus now.
Aladdin's supposed to come out soon, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they have a pro shot of the England production of Aladdin. So they said that they were going to release that to Disney Plus, I think, within the year. Yeah.
I want to see Aida now because of your video.
It is so good. I don't think they have a professional shot of that just because of how old it is, but they should because it's amazing.
I'm surprised they haven't done more with that because it wasn't on my radar.
It's so good. I feel like I watched it somewhere, like a long time ago.
There are some videos. By videos, I mean of the bootleg variety that tend to pop up on this thing that we're on right now, the YouTube. So depending on like timing and if you're lucky, you can usually find it online. But even just like listening to the soundtrack is what I recommend, because that's more or less the power of the show, is just how good the music is.
So good.
So Walt Life Salt Life says we should do a musical a month for our series. And I mean, Hamilton is on the list.
Is it?
Oh, is it?
Like,
it wasn't in that list. We have a long list.
A master list of like 200 films. Yes.
You'll be back. Right? Oh yeah, I think is Newsies on Disney Plus? Because I know Newsies has a pro shoot. Yeah.
But is it I thought it was just the film.
Yeah, I think it's just the film on there.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's like a professionally shot like video of the Broadway production that was on Netflix for a while, and I think it might be on Disney Plus as well. And like it's the original Broadway cast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes. So exciting. Wow. Thank you everyone for coming today and listening to us talk about Toy Story.
Thank you.
And thank you for participating too. So I appreciate you all being here. Until next time, peace, love, and Kwaherini. Mary.
Remember, it's a good day to be jolly.
And that.
I don't even know where to start. I have so many things I say in my closing banter.
You do. Click on your face.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All you have to do is click on my face. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and that's the Teacup for 1. Go away.